Hi, I'm Simona, intuitive business and mindset coach and host of the Happiness Happens podcast. You're tuning in to the Soul Rich Woman Show with Janisha Alora for women who love the F word, being fabulous, having freedom, financial independence, and family. Alone we are strong, together we are unstoppable.
A strong and independent woman is something to behold. She pays her own bills, buys her own things, and she doesn't let a man affect her stability or self-confidence. She is a soul-rich woman. Are you ready to be rich doing what you love? Be on purpose and in control of your life again. At For Women Who Love the F Word podcast, we will be openly talking about getting more clients online, getting recognition as the leader and female entrepreneur, and also the F word, being fabulous, having freedom, and financial independence. It's time to own and love the F word. Welcome to the show. Hello and a very good day to you. Welcome to the For Women Who Love the F Word show, being fabulous, having freedom, financial independence, and above all, family. Alone we are strong, together we are unstoppable. My name is Janisha Alora. Good morning to you. We are here live right now on this great and awesome interview. We are so excited to have this guest with us today. She is an intuitive business and mindset coach and the host of the Happiness Happens podcast. Now, Simona, this lady, okay, she's so passionate about helping heart-led self-starters step into their magic and connect with their voice, their message, and in turn their community in a significant way and grow their business. She does this by helping them find their confidence, get clear on their messaging, connect to their voice, and build a business strategy that works so they can step out of their way and see results. Now, Simona has several courses, coaches clients one-on-one, and will start a signature coaching program in June, which is actually this month. Her signature course is so very amazing. Now, on her Happiness Happens podcast, Simona shares her favorite mindset hacks and brings an inspirational coaches, authors, and entrepreneurs to help listeners shift their perspective and become more inspired to live a life that they are passionate about. Now, Simona believes that having a deep connection to yourself is the most important relationship that you can have. She's on a mission to enlighten people to reach their highest potential through increased self-awareness, gratitude, and helping them change the stories they tell themselves so that they can live a life aligned to them. Now, this morning, you're in for a treat. Her name is Simona Nicole, and she's super amazing. You have to meet her in person right now. She's live on the show. Let's bring on this amazing, gorgeous woman today. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yes, Simona, thank you for being on the show today. I'm so excited that we're going to talk about happiness happens. And today on For Women Who Love the F Word show, I'm so glad to have you to share with our listeners what happiness happens truly means. Now, when I looked at you, you truly embody the happiness spirit, because when you were interviewing me as well, I could feel the essence that you carry with you. How do you even get started on this journey?
Oh my goodness, that is such a good question. Before we dive in, I do have to say your intro to your show is so powerful. And I was smiling ear to ear the entire time and felt extra empowered before even coming on here. So incredible. But if you think back to, in general, how happiness even begins, I think that it comes down to an awareness, and I think it comes down to a choice. I think that without the awareness, you can't have the choice. And really, that's how it all began for me. I'm happy to dive into more if you want to hear more.
Yeah. And when you go on this journey, I mean, how do you even get started? I mean, being happy,
Mm,
knowing that happiness happens is something that is essential, because you talk about connecting with people and
mhm.
sharing, bring on perspectives of people onto your podcast show, and helping people to find confidence. I mean, all these things are really huge pieces in the world out there, but you're
Mhm.
distilling them down to very fine pieces. So share with us more on that.
Definitely. I think that the biggest piece to sort of start all of it off is having a desire for change and a desire for more. If you have that desire within you that you want something different than what you already have, that's the first key and the first step to making any sort of change towards living a happier, more on purpose life. I think that, there are so many different things that play into this. And there are so many different key things that will impact the outcome. But when you have that first moment of wanting to change something in your life and wanting to have a better life, everything else kind of just falls into place in the way that it's supposed to fall into place. That paired with having, like I was saying before, some awareness. You need to have awareness of yourself. You need to have awareness of your thoughts, the awareness of the things that you're letting into your space. What are you letting people, how are you letting people in? And how are you letting people impact your energy? How are you letting them, are you letting them take too much of your energy so that you have nothing left to give back to yourself? Or are you, creating a space for yourself that you can grow and you can evolve into a journey of finding that happiness and having happiness happen? I think that happiness is a really interesting thing because we try and define happiness by a feeling or a place or a thing or a person, but happiness isn't any of those things. Happiness, I associate happiness with an inner peace, with like an inner peace and an inner knowingness of, wanting that better life for yourself in your life, but also being very at peace with who you are, how you are, and what you, how you show up in your life for other people and how you show up for yourself.
So, Simona, how do you even get started on podcasting? And I mean, to even use podcasting as a medium to share this message. I mean, it's really very important because you get women and individuals to master their mindset and to get on and bring on their confidence.
Yes. So, I mean, so a little bit about like my journey and how I even got here into this space. I was really unhappy. Like I was really, really unhappy. I hated so much about myself, Janisha. I hated so much about my life. I was so miserable and was always finding something to complain about. And as I started to, what ended up happening was I had this like moment of, I can either continue on like this, or I can change my life and I can take that small action step and take that small next step into something different. And so that's what I chose. And it took a long time and it takes a lot of courage, I think, to be able to do that. But I think it comes down to choice. And so from that, that's how the podcast was born. And when I first created my podcast, it's called the Happiness Happens Podcast. The name came out of the blue. It really just came to me, and I think almost like in a dream. And I created this podcast because I imagined that there was somebody else out there who may have felt the way that I was feeling. And I wanted to be able to share this with other people. And I wanted to be able to share what I was learning, what I was experiencing, what I was going through with people, so that they can know that they're not alone, so that they could know that it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to not feel like you're good enough every day. And it's okay to want more for your life. And it's not selfish, right? So this is how I really started the podcast journey. And then from the podcast, then came my business because it was a natural fit. Coaching and helping people create happiness in their lives is not a responsibility or a gift that I take lightly. It's actually something that is super empowering because it allows you to help people create. You're holding space for people and creating space for people so that they can step into their full potential and their full selves, and then they can find that happiness, that inner peace, and that inner knowingness that they're looking for. So the podcast started that way, and it's evolved into my business, and now I get to bring on incredible guests so that they can share their stories of inspiration as well, to offer a different perspective and to help you grow a little bit and not be so stuck in what you're feeling.
I love that. In fact, what was it that you had awareness of? Because you talk about you were complaining, you were angry, you were going through all this negativity in your thoughts and in your brain,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but how? Because a lot of women are not even aware that they have it. So
Mhm.
how were you even aware in the first place that you were, or going through this repeat broken jukebox kind of like function?
It's such a good question, Janisha. Honestly, I think back to this moment often, and it was actually my fiance who said something to me. I was complaining and complaining and complaining. And like, honestly, when I say like I was complaining, I'd complain about everything. I would, say things that I didn't mean. I would talk about people in a mean way. I would get upset about things that didn't matter. And, these are all things that I can talk about now because I realize that these come from a place of pain, and they come from a place of hurt, a place of fear, and a place of not feeling enough or not healing the wounds that you have. But that's a little bit off topic. That specific moment though was back in the summer. It was 2017 or 2018. And my fiance had said to me, okay, you have been complaining so much. He's like, you either stop complaining or you do something about it. He's like, I don't want to hear it anymore. So obviously I was very taken aback by this because I was like, oh my God, that's so rude. Why would you say that to me? But the reality was he was right. And that was just the kick that I needed, like the push that I needed to make me aware that something was off. And I didn't really know it at the time that my life would ever look like this. I didn't know at the time that it would evolve into the way that it has. And I didn't know at the time what kind of journey that it would take me on. But it was that small shift in perspective that actually came from an external person telling me that I need to change the way that I'm talking about myself, and I need to change the way that I'm thinking about myself. And that was really it. That was really the moment that sparked the change. And that was the moment that shifted everything. And the journey has not been easy by any means. And it's a constant struggle. It's a constant battle. You're constantly learning, you're constantly growing, and you're constantly evolving. But I go back to that piece of awareness within yourself. Once you have that spark, you can't go back to the way things were before, because the way things were before doesn't exist anymore. It's what's in the present moment now.
I love that. I love that. Are you already married, or are you still fiance and fiancé?
Still fiance and fiance. We were supposed to get married in 2020, and the state of the world kind of pushed our wedding a little bit. So that's okay.
Wow, looking forward.
Me too.
Are we going to go for your wedding?
Calm down.
After COVID is over.
Come down to Toronto, Canada, and
yay, Canada rocks. Yeah. So I love it. Yeah. So I was just thinking, having gone through, you said your podcasting evolved into your business. Many women told me that it has to be, I got to have my business first. I'm going to have my systems and structures first, even before they build up a momentum of following and getting, customers. Well, how are you kind of flowing right now? At this moment.
I love that. First thing that I want to say to what you were just saying, though, is all of those things that you described, all of the things and maybe you can relate to this like a little bit in the coaching and what you do for your community. All of those excuses are fear-based, and they're like blankets to cover up the fact that we're scared to start. That's what I think about that. So for me in my business, I try and think about, okay, you want to have everything perfect before you start. But why? Why do you want to have everything perfect? What is it that you're fearful of? What are you scared of? What are you fearful of in terms of like failure? What is the underlying reason that you're holding yourself back and you're keeping yourself stuck? So what is that reason? Because I really think that is a lot to do with fear-based thinking and, being worried about what other people are going to think about us. And I had all of these same feelings. Like I had all these same thoughts that I thought that people would think that I was weird for coming online and talking on a podcast and, being very vulnerable on social media and, telling people about my life and the pain and the trauma that I've experienced in my life. And, that comes with time and it comes with learning. But I think the biggest key thing here is that it's never going to be perfect. And the more time you sit and try and make it perfect, you're wasting time watching other people live out their dreams while you're staying in this place of comfort because you're scared. And I mean it in the most loving way possible, that you don't have to stay in that place. You know what I mean? We get to choose our reality. We get to choose however we want. But you were asking me about, my business and the place that I'm in my business now. And it's been a lot of trial and error. It's been a lot of starting something and it didn't work out. It's about launching something, then nobody came. And it's about, I started off offering free coaching to 5 people for a month. And I wanted to do it to build up my confidence. I wanted to build up different testimonials. I wanted to do it, to get experience. But then when you start and you sort of realize, like, a lot of the time the businesses that we create are very much an extension of us. So we already know how to do that. We already know how to do this business because it's us. It's our lives. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's hard. Yes, the technology and that kind of stuff can be harder, but at the core of it, your business will always feel right to you because your business is always rooted in your purpose and it's always rooted in your why. Like you were saying in your intro, everything starts with why. And I think that too. So in terms of my business now, though, it's very much, it was very much trial and error, and now has grown into a space of, what do I want to be offering people, and what do I want, people to learn from me? How do I want to hold space for people, and how do I want them to feel? Something that I live by is like, leave people a little better than you found them. How do I want to leave people at the end of it? So right now I have group coaching. I have something coming down the line soon that is very exciting. It's more membership based, so I'm excited about that. One-on-one coaching is something that I love because I love getting into like the nitty gritty and getting to know someone inside out. And I also have online courses. So that's sort of the holistic view right now. And I know it's going to grow from there.
And how do you even know which one or which program to get started? A lot of people are often having no clarity and direction, I have a passion, I have a purpose. And then I'm like, okay, so what should I do next? How do you even have that going for you?
That is such a good question. I mean, I think that in the beginning, it's a lot of trial and error of what you like and what you don't like. The biggest thing, though, that has fully helped me grow my business so much faster than I ever could was working with other coaches, because you see what other people do and you learn what's out there, you learn what's available to you, and you learn the tools and the resources from other people. So I think that that's like really, really valuable. But then on like the flip side of that, I also think that it's so important to think about, okay, you have your purpose and you have your big idea and you have your big dream. You have your why behind this dream. So from there, the what and the how can follow very, very easily if you really listen to yourself and you tune in to what you really want. What do you want? Do you want to be running group coaching programs? Do you want to create a course? Do you want to have an ebook and sell it? Do you want to start a podcast? And then for all of those different items, what I think about is why. Why is it that I want this one-on-one coaching program? If the why doesn't fuel your soul, if the why doesn't light you up, and if the why doesn't make you excited to go into your business, I don't think that's the right step for you. So I think being very in tune with who you are, being very in tune with what you want, and being very in tune with what you're going to offer and how you want to grow and scale your business are so key. Yeah.
I love that. And on your journey, were there struggles to get started? I mean, you were deciding on your coaching program and your membership and classes going on. I mean, developing and design on this journey when we are online and we are selling our services through online mediums, there must be some ups and downs that you're going through. So share with us some of your struggles and successes.
Absolutely. So I guess because you said successes too, so I always like to start there. But one of my favorite successes was when I launched my first course. I was so excited about this course. I launched it and sold to more people than I thought that I would. It was such an incredible launch, and it was my first one too, which made it so amazing. Other successes in terms of business, but also life. have been really getting in tune with who I am as a person and what I like to do and how I want to change the world. That is the biggest thing that this business and my podcast has brought me, is this opportunity to come onto incredible shows like yours and share, you know, my thoughts, and hope that maybe it'll inspire somebody else to see all the beauty that life can have for them. So that has been a huge success. I also, like, my podcast has grown exponentially. So I think that's a huge success too. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And there's always, you know, there are always challenges and there are always struggle. And there's failure. And I think that, you know, failure is something that comes hand in hand with success. In order to have success, you need to fail at some point. You need to have a point where you didn't have everything go your way, where something didn't work out the way that you thought it was going to. And I think that that's such a key point, because we often think that success is perfect, that, you know, we're going to do the thing and it's going to be perfect and it's going to launch and everyone's going to come. And like, the reality is, I've also had launches that have had like one person buy. And so I think in terms of failure, I think, or like, you know, struggle or challenges, I honestly think that if you don't have struggle in your business in some way, shape, or form, if you don't have something that's challenging you, I think it's necessary. It's necessary in order to push you out of your comfort zone. It's necessary in order to grow. I think that it's so necessary. In terms of other, you know, it's interesting, like different challenges I look at, I see them because of the mindset work that I do. I know that they're challenges, but I see them as opportunities in everything that we have that, you know, makes us feel uncomfortable, everything that we have that challenges us in a specific way, everything that we have that makes us feel not good enough, gives us the opportunity to think the opposite and to take the lesson that we're experiencing and what we're learning and to shift it into something else.
Love that. And when you're going through on this journey of podcasting, and you say your podcasting has evolved and he has helped you so much, and I could see that you use that as a primary way to bring in people for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is the 3 actionable tips for anyone thinking of starting a podcast, or maybe don't even know exactly what that is, even
what podcasting is?
Yeah, how would you tell them? And then share 3 tips for the ready podcasters.
Okay. So I think if you were to try and define podcasting, I think podcasting is a platform that you can use to share something that you're passionate about and something that you love. You can have self-help podcasts. You can have business podcasts. You can have lifestyle podcasts, crime, fiction, everything. You can podcast on everything. I love podcasting because it gives you this platform to share your voice. It gives you this platform to meet new people. And it gives you, you know, this sort of like community feel, if you will, because you join this community of people who are like-minded, these people who want the same thing as you. And then, okay, so 3 tips to get started on podcasting. I would say the first one I would say is figure out what it is that you would be passionate to talk about every single week. Why you want to do it. And I think when you're always rooted in those 2 things, everything else that you do will always come out strong. The second thing that I would say is get familiar with technology. Understand where you're going to be hosting your podcast. Understand how those different podcast hosts feed into different channels. Understand where you want your podcast to live. Do you want it on Spotify? Do you want it on Apple? Do you want it on YouTube? You know, where do you want your podcast to be? And then I think the third one would be, you know, take the time to create the marketing for your podcast. Take the time to, you know, market it properly. You've spent so much time doing interviews. Let's say you do an interview and it's an hour long. Then you're probably going to edit it. That's probably going to take you another hour unless you're outsourcing it. If you don't like it, outsource. And, you know, really taking the time to making sure that you're sharing with the world what it is that you're putting your time into creating, because there's no sense in putting something out there if you don't believe in it. And the best way to believe in it is to market it yourself.
Wow, I love that. Very good.
Thanks.
It's really very good.
Thank you.
So I love it that you talk about marketing and on your journey. I mean, like some people just hate marketing. And how as a happiness expert, I would call it, how would you put happiness into marketing?
Okay, I love that question so much because I hated, like on the flip side of that, I hated like sales. You know what I mean? I hated sales when I first started my business. And so when I think about sales and marketing, for me, it was first of all, like the perspective shift that, one day these are not tasks that I'm going to have to do one day. You know what I mean? Right now I might have to do them, but one day I'll have help and that'll be great. But, thinking about it and reminding yourself and staying rooted in, what it is you want to be sharing with people, I think that helps you market so many things because you're then marketing something that you believe in and your message becomes an extension of you. Your message comes from your heart and from your soul. So you can't do anything wrong when you're sharing your heart and soul with people. Because as long as you're authentic, as long as you're truthful, and as long as you're aligned in who you are as a person, you'll never get it wrong online because you'll always come from a place of love. You'll always come from a place of understanding. You'll always come from a place of wanting to help people and help them better their lives. And I think that, it's different when you have your own company and your own brand because those are extensions of us. If you're corporate, that's a whole different story. But, this is like for the small business, personal brand entrepreneur. Yeah.
Beginning is always the hardest.
Yeah, it is.
And I believe that is so for you as well on your journey of finding the happiness and sharing and interviewing people. What were some of the initial hurdles that you went through just at the start of either doing a podcasting or your online course, that part, the initial part?
So for the podcast, the initial part was actually getting started. I sat for so long because I didn't do research. Like I didn't properly research anything. So I had my mic and I recorded some stuff and then that was just kind of it. Like I was scared to start because I was scared to share my voice because it was a big thing. It's a big topic, my podcast. You know what I mean? Like it's a heavy topic and not one that people agree with all the time because everyone has their own definition of, what happiness is. So I really think it was like, for me, it was really just getting started and taking that first little step. And on top of that, because I used to do, when I first started, I did a lot of episodes on my own. And then I started interviewing people. And when I was interviewing people, oh my God, Janisha, I would be so nervous. When I first started, I was so nervous to interview people. And these were people who are like my friends, like my entrepreneur friends. We have conversations all the time and so on, so on. And I was always so nervous to interview them. I'd stay up at night. I'd be like, oh my God, I have an interview tomorrow. I couldn't do anything all day. Like I would go to work and do my thing during the day. But all day I'd be like, oh, I have an interview tonight. And it was always just like this big fear, like, oh my God, what if I mess it up? What if something bad happens? What if the technology doesn't work? What if? But like, you can't control these things. These are not things. These are all out of our control. And so, yeah, that was like a huge thing. And every time, now I'm sort of at a place where I know how to, ground myself before an interview, but I've been on shows, like different interviews with people who've asked me like questions not related to anything that I do. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to answer this question? But you always figure it out and it always ends up being fine. But, so it's taught me a lot of things. I've learned a lot in that sense too. Yeah.
And tell us the 3 tips that you always ground yourself and get yourself ready and kick your ass to get over the initial hurdle.
I love that. This has changed a lot over the years. The first one that I'm using now today is really staying grounded in what I'm wanting to do and why I want to do it. Journaling out different things as it comes, releasing different things that I'm ready to let go of, really grounding myself in the present moment. And that the worst thing that's going to happen is that, honestly, I say to myself all the time, the worst thing that's going to happen is someone is going to say no. And is that really the worst thing? It's not, So that's one thing, like the whole perspective and like the mindset. The other thing is really taking care of myself. So I never used to take care of myself. I never took care of like what I ate, how I move my body and that kind of thing. So those two have been so key. Like, what am I doing to work out? What am I doing to move my body? How, am I going for a walk? Am I taking a mental break? And then the last one is I do this like sort of like hand in hand. One of them is like meditation. So I'll just do like a quick 10-minute meditation if I have to get myself grounded. But another thing is I just like pause, and if I'm sitting in front of the screen before we even go live, I'll just like close my eyes and I just take like 3 big breaths, and I just let myself ground myself so that I come into something with the clean energy and like the clean intention, you know?
I love that. I love that. Absolutely love that. It sounds really like you have really gone through your processes and really fine-tuned them to be a really better, different version of yourself 2.0. And that is what Soul Rich Woman is all about. So to you, Simona, who and what is a soul rich woman?
Oh, that is such a good question. I think everyone is a soul rich woman. And I think that we hide behind our experiences and hide behind the things that make us feel uncomfortable and hide behind, not feeling good enough. But when we let ourselves dive into who we really are, and when we let ourselves explore what makes us happy, and when we let ourselves bring that happiness to life in our life and know that we can have more than we've ever desired, I think that defines a soul rich woman, because you're rich from the inside out. You know what I mean? It's not money that's going to make you happy. Money's nice, but what's going to make you happy is that internal love and projecting that outwards and, making people, happy and spreading love and spreading light. And, even though it's hard, and I know that things are hard, and I know that, I'm not sitting here preaching like love and light and that's all. I think though that everything is a perspective and everything is a shift, and what we think really manifests itself in our lives. And so, for me, a soul rich woman is someone who gives themselves the space to learn who they are from the inside, and do what they want in the real world from that place of inner power.
Love that. Now that COVID-19 has happened, many women and individuals are forced to stay at home, or to even, because of their business failures or things that happened to them, they have to be at home some way or another. Finding happiness and being authentic online often seems not something that is able to go hand in hand. How would you tell the other person sitting and listening over to us on the other side right now, how would happiness and being authentic online come together hand in hand?
That is a great question. I think that your energy is shown through video. How you're feeling is shown through video. And I think that, sort of going back to what I was saying earlier, happiness doesn't mean we need to be happy 24/7. Happiness is an inner peace in knowing that we are enough and exactly how we are, and our lives are perfect in the way that it is for us, however we want it, if that even makes any sense, what I just said. But I think that, authenticity and happiness, they do go hand in hand, in that how you feel in your energy is what will come through authentically for you. And so I challenge you to think about, what is it that you want to be sharing with people from your life? And, there's tons of people at home, tons of people stuck at home, in this time. And I think that it's, something that I've been thinking about, and the perspective shift that I've been trying to have is, first of all, we're never going to get this moment ever again. To be at home with our family and our loved ones 24/7 is a blessing, I think. Not for everybody, but for me, it really has been. And I think that, getting that extra quality time with people is so special. But, to really answer your question, I think that authenticity always comes through when we show up how we're feeling. You know what I mean? It's not about being, happy and like, oh my God, 24/7. It's about being real with your audience and being real with the people who are listening to you, that, you know what, today was a hard day, but my perspective on this hard day is that it was a hard day, and hard days come, and that's okay. And we're going to try again tomorrow. But I just wanted to let you know, because in that case, you're giving yourself permission to feel the way you feel, but you're also giving permission to the person who's watching you, to feel that way as well. You're letting them feel, you're letting them feel that permission within themselves to know that they can have, they can have the business, they can have the life, they can have the family, they can have everything they want. And you can still feel sad sometimes, and you can still feel upset sometimes, and that's okay. I think that's the happiness journey. I think that that's how happiness happens. That's how you evolve into the person that you want to be.
I love that. So for women who love the F word, we talk about being fabulous, having freedom, financial independence, and family. Which one is your favorite F word?
Okay, if you asked me 3 years ago, I would have said freedom, 100%. But me today, I would say family, because I think that family is the people that we surround ourselves with. Family is the people that we're born into, the family that we're born into. But family is also community. Family is also the relationships that you build. Family is also your online, community, the people that you help, your clients. I think it all turns into family. And I think that when you have family, it's such a strong value that, we get to choose our family also, right? We get to choose who we want to spend time with, and we get to choose that. So I would say family for sure.
Wow, I absolutely love that. How can my audience reach you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. My Instagram is at simona.nicole. And then my podcast is at Happiness Happens Podcast. And my website is simonanicole.com. That's where you can find me. I also have a YouTube channel as well. You just have to type in my name.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, out there in all places, rocking it. What is the one last advice would you give to our audience today who's still sitting on their fence and always blaming and whining and complaining and still think that happiness is not for them, it's always for someone else? What would you tell her today?
That is such a good question. I think I would start off by saying, why do you feel that happiness is not available for you? Why do you think that you are not allowed to be happy in this lifetime, but everybody else is? Why do you think that you're not deserving of that happiness? And I would challenge you to think about it. Think about where that's actually coming from. Is it coming from a place of feeling scared? Is it coming from a place that you don't feel good enough? What's the underlying reason that's holding you back? Because once you set yourself free in that aspect, once you set yourself, apart from not being able to achieve happiness, you actually open the door for happiness to flow in so many different ways. But I also think that it's knowing that where you are is not the permanent solution. It's not, the be all end all. It's not where you end. This is, there's always more if you want it, and more is always available for you. And I think that, I really think that that's it. I think that it's challenging the way that you're thinking and holding yourself accountable. And if you're not able to do that, write out why, write out what is making you unhappy, because there's clues there. Our mind is giving us clues all the time. Every time we write something out, every time we're feeling, stuck in something, if we start writing it out or if we start talking it out loud, the clues are there, and it's up to you to take it and at least give it a chance, because you can't say that something doesn't work for you if you haven't given it a real chance.
Wow, I love that. I just want to say thank you for being on the show today, Simona. Really appreciate you. And for our listeners today, all the links will be placed into the show notes. Okay, so thank you. And for women who love the F word, I'm Janisha Alora signing off. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so honored that we are connected, and I hope that I can continue to serve you as you build your dreams. And if you love this episode, and I hope that you did, rate it 5 stars. Give us that glowing review, because it will help more women around the world finding the Soul Rich Woman podcast. Alone you are strong, together we are unstoppable. Now share this with every woman who needs it, because this is how we are changing the world, one woman at a time. As always, get out of your comfort zone and go towards the dreams you've always wanted to achieve. For women who love the F word, being fabulous, having freedom, and financial independence. My dear soul-rich woman, Sending you my love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.